There's been a lot of data discussion, maybe too much, but it's probably been, I think about, like an athlete, before you go like lift the heavy weights, you got to go stretch, right? So we're getting our minds to think around these things, and I don't want to throw, ice water on the data party, especially since I'm kind of the guy hosting the party, but I think we're using data, we have to make sure that when we take it away, that, well, we're too focused on results, okay? I'm just going to say we're too focused on results. Results don't breed results. If you really want to understand data and understand how to make data actionable in a dealership, well, you have to tie every single data point to some action in the store, some process. And if we can't tie it to a process in a store, then we need to do more research, and we're not there yet. I mean, it's as simple as that. And I think when you think about good management, you think how to solve a problem and how to deconstruct. And so if you're project management, it's about project milestones. And if you're management in a dealership and you're managing salespeople, it's what? This is an easy one for us, right? It's what? How many walk-ins did you take? How many write-ups did you go on? How many demos did you do? How many cars you sell? And we all know the ratios. And based on those ratios, we could tell ourselves that there's an activity to do. What do you do as a sales manager when you have a salesperson with a 40% demo rate? Well, that salesperson should have an 85% demo rate, right? So if he doesn't have an 85% demo rate, it's 40%. What's wrong? He's not connecting with customers? Or he doesn't know the product knowledge well enough. So what am I going to do as a sales manager? We're going to focus on people skills, and we're going to focus on product knowledge. And I'm going to give you 60 days, and if you can't turn it around and the metrics doesn't improve, guess what? I'm going to find somebody else and train somebody who can. Right? So every metric has to be tied to an activity. So I think that's the notion that we have to ask ourselves every time we get a piece of data thrown into our lap. And some of what we've gotten over the last few days, we're able to immediately put action to it. Some of it we may have to dig a little bit further and think, and some of it just flat out isn't there yet. But with regards to what are the metrics that we're looking at, and kind of with keeping with my theme of maybe throwing a little bit of ice water on the data party, I want to bring up and just say it. There's an elephant in the room, is that there's a metric that we all live and die by if you're at a dealership, and it is pretty much worthless. Okay? So everyone can shoot me afterwards, but it's cost per sale per source. Every CRM system, every internet manager, every month takes that lead, cost per sale per source, and they take it up to the general manager and they go, look at leads from XYZ, look at the leads from the website, look at the leads for my pay-per-click marketing, and this is the cost per sale per source, and this is why we should or shouldn't invest. This is why we should or shouldn't spend more, and if we spend more, we hire more. And basically everything that we're doing inside of dealerships with regards to digital marketing is flowing off of cost per sale per source. And that metric really means absolutely nothing, because if you got 90% of your customers online, and you can't tell me who's an internet customer and who's a walk-in customer, which we can't do because they don't wear signs on the floor. They say, I'm an internet customer. They just walk in your store and they want to spend money, right? So it's about, we can't tell you who's an internet customer, so frankly, you can't tell me who's an internet deal. And if you can't tell me who's an internet deal, you can't tell me your cost per sale per source. And if you can't tell me your cost per sales per source, you can't tell me who's an internet deal, and you can't tell me who's an internet customer, we shouldn't even have an internet department to begin with. Holy crap. So shoot me later. But really, I mean, that's where we've got to go. And where's Mitch? I'm sorry, I'm a little passionate here. But that is where we're going, right? We have to think about that. And to Ken Fry's point earlier today about, well, yeah, but look at these email templates, and we're not handling the emails properly. And look at all this mismanagement that we see. That's training problems. Folks, that isn't a structure problem. That's just a flat-out training problem. So the question is are people trained to behave the way that they should behave based on the way that the data tells them to? And then let's tie back to what Billy Bean says. Do you have a discipline as the manager to hold your employees' feet to the fire and get them to toe the line and get them to execute? If we believe in our data, we need to have that discipline. If not, we need to get a new source of data, right? So how would I think about then internet marketing? And look, I don't pretend to have all of the answers. I don't. But there's some obvious things that we're doing that are wrong that we've got to steer away from. First off, an internet budget, throw it out the window. You don't need an internet budget. An internet budget's just going to mess you up. Sorry, I was thinking this French word. I speak French, and sometimes I get confused in my head what language I'm talking. Trump. So some of you get mixed up on what we're doing because we have an internet budget. You see, you say something like, well, I'm going to be a progressive. So we go to our touring group. I'm going to be a progressive dealer. Hey, what percent of your budget is to the internet? Like, well, I'm 35%. Well, that's a pretty sharp dude, so I'm going to be 45, right? And then what do? We go measure our marketing based on where we're spending the dough. But marketing is marketing. I would suggest that your marketing has two main functions. Top level, branding. I got to tell my dealership apart from the crowd because they can buy that Ford anywhere. So the question is, why are they going to buy that Ford from me? And so that's brand, and that's where I start separating myself apart from the crowd. The second thing is conversion marketing. And conversion marketing is what we are all really used to, particularly advanced, really advanced dealers. We're really good at conversion marketing, about doing pay-per-click, and that's where we get into this cost per sale stuff. And then we get, organic traffic, and maybe we have our conversion funnel set up probably with Google Analytics on our website, and we think this is all super sophisticated. And again, branding marketing and conversion marketing, if we look at our marketing that way, instead of saying traditional versus digital, you say, I've got to do branding. TV's not bad. Okay, I'm a digital guy, but TV's not bad. TV can be good, and it depends on your market, how much you should or shouldn't. But my question to you is, what's the goal of your TV spot? Is it to drive somebody to the store? Is it to tell your brand? Is it to differentiate your dealership from somebody else? Because the metrics that I'm going to look at that are going to tell me the follow-up activities are going to be totally different if my objective is branding versus transaction. So if we get rid of this nonsense of internet versus traditional, and we start focusing on what % of my budget is branding versus transaction, then all of a sudden I can say, you know what, I'm the Larry Miller Group, and I just bought a new dealership in New Mexico, and my new store in New Mexico, I've got to make sure that they know that this store is driven by you, right? And so I've got to make sure that they know that the Larry Miller way has these benefits, and I've got to go in with heavier branding on my budget to the conversion. And maybe we just had a PR disaster. I mean, they happen sometimes. So then we step up the branding. And maybe the store's running efficient, or maybe the economy's down. So you're going, I've been in the market for 20 years. My father had been a dealer for 20-some-odd years, 25 years or whatever. And you say, well, my brand's good, the economy's bad. I got to focus heavy on the transactional or the conversion marketing. And then if you're looking at the conversion marketing versus branding, the metrics become totally different once again. But it isn't about like my conversion rate, so how many impressions, how many clicks to the website, website to conversion, lead to appointment, appointment to set, show, buy, and gross. Right? Those are all of the points. But as a manager, our focus needs to be on those inflection points, those percentages. And this is where we tie them to the activity. And so we say, well, if my click-through rate on my ad, if my click-through rate's low, what's that mean? It means I got bad creative. The activity is click-through rate equals creative. Click-through rate too low, marketing team, go fix the creative. If my conversion rate on my website's too low, it means my website isn't optimized properly. Marketing team, go fix the content on the site. Go make it easier to submit the lead. Go make the phone number on the font bigger. Make it easier for them to find my maps and directions, or etc. So every activity in the conversion is tied. Now, where I think the industry, where we have to go, and where this obviously we've seen over the last few days, is this journey, right? So we're catching the very end of the journey, and we now you all have the white paper in front of you that says, hey, and I haven't read this, but this is cool stuff. I read part of it because I think I got a snippet of it emailed to me. But the concept here is that it's about a journey, and it isn't about the last click, right? It's about there's this behavior that's happening all over the web. And what we're going to learn, because we've got partners out there like Datium and Cars that are figuring this out, is we're going to learn when I need to tell my brand story, what are the better investments for me to make. And I think we've already got, for the most part, a lot of the conversion done. Now, we're going to get to where we're, like Rand Fishkin said the other day when we were talking about SEO, we had dinner the night before he spoke. And he said one of the big misnomers about SEO is everybody wants to focus SEO on the top of the conversion funnel. So they think the job is to find, in his example, Ford truck deals in Salt Lake City to land to your website to convert to the phone call to show up. And he says, if you think about it, and he didn't know what we were doing at the conference, he says, if you think about it, you should touch that customer 7 or 8 times before they do that search for Ford truck in Salt Lake City. So what are those 7 or 8 searches, long-tail searches before they get to your long-tail keyword that begin building your brand? So you start having touches with these customers early. And he didn't mean to, but what he was talking about was this journey that we all have. And he's already thinking through the journey for these marketers and all of these other industries, right? So I think as we continue to grow, and I'm sure you guys are going to teach us some today, learn more about this journey, we're going to elongate that conversion process, and we're going to begin to uncover where the branding value is hidden, and where the conversion, where that journey, where the greater nuggets of influence are hidden in the industry. And the data is just starting to open these up. But again, my core takeaways are this. 1, give me a data point that I can act on at the dealership. If I can't act on it, it really doesn't mean anything to me. So it needs to mean, fix this creative, invest more here, change the content, something, but I have to be able to do something to improve it, or frankly, to take it down when not needed. And if I can't tie an action to it, then I don't understand my data enough. And then the second takeaway that I would say to kick this thing off is this is still a people business, right? So it's about executing at the dealership level, and that comes down to discipline. So once we have, it's sort of funny. Remember, like back in the day, like I hate the internet. A lot of dealers are like, I can't stand the internet. It's not my thing. And now everyone's like, no, Jared, it's blasphemous to say we should do away with an internet department. And so the innovative people of today are resistant to change, is I guess what I'm saying. And what I'm suggesting is that when we see the new sources of data, because it's now accessible to us in the industry, and this puzzle is going to unfold in front of us, starting today, over the next few years, probably a decade-long problem, don't be resistant to the change. You as a leader, it's one thing to get the data, but it's a whole other thing to have the discipline to act on it. And that's what's going to separate the next level of good from great, is your level of discipline as a leader. Once you see the data and you know the action that it's tied to actually have the discipline to execute on it. So that's my 2 cents. Hope I wasn't over passionate. This is good stuff, and thanks for your time.